The ability to control fire is often considered one of the defining characteristics of our species, Homo sapiens. And yeah, it did help us keep warm during ice ages and ward off saber-toothed tigers. But what if I told you that the biggest change brought about by fire wasn't any of those things? What if I told you it was, in fact, its effect on food? Hi, welcome to Food Saga. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Let's start. For most of human history, the question of who cooked first has been up for debate, with some arguing it was our distant relative, Homo erectus, while others argued it was us. Well, there is still some uncertainty surrounding exactly which member of the genus Homo first started cooking. What is certain is that the ability to control fire was a huge turning point in human history. It allowed our ancestors to do all sorts of things they couldn't do before. They could, for example, keep warm and ward off predators. But in this video, we are going to explore how the discovery of fire may have changed the very definition of what it means to be human, to be Homo sapiens, thanks to its effects on our taste buds. Our earliest ancestors probably didn't set out to invent cooking. They probably just wanted to eat the food they had gathered. But after coming across a fire, they realized they could make their food more palatable. Food cooked over an open fire would become softer, tastier, and much easier to chew and digest. When meat is roasted or grilled, proteins coagulate and tough fibers break down, making it easier to eat. Vegetables soften and starches gelatinize. Bread becomes fluffy and porous instead of dense and chewy. Fruits caramelize and nuts toast. Basically, anything can be improved by the application of heat. As hunter-gatherers, our ancestors were able to use fire to transform wild plants and animals into foods that were not only more delicious, but also safer to eat. You see, most meat contains harmful bacteria and parasites, and these can cause disease and death. Cooking food helps kill them. Meat that is just seared on the outside is unlikely to be completely safe to eat, but when meat is thoroughly cooked, the risk of getting sick from eating it is greatly reduced. Fish and shellfish are often better indicators of the need for cooking than meat because they spoil faster. In addition, cooking kills dangerous parasites, preventing illnesses like tapeworm. Cooking also neutralizes harmful plant toxins. For example, cooking cassava removes cyanide. Some plants contain toxic compounds that make them unpalatable or deadly if eaten raw, such as the bitter almond. But when these foods are cooked, the potentially dangerous compounds break down, rendering them safe and tasty. And yes, even eggs. Most people don't realize that eggs are toxic if eaten raw. The whites solidify at around 40 degrees Celsius, and the yolks solidify around 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So not only would eating raw eggs be really gross, it would also make you violently ill. So cooking not only made food taste better, it made it safer to eat. It was a sort of built-in food safety system. That's pretty awesome. There's no doubt that controlling fire was a huge advantage for our ancestors. Not only did it make food more palatable, but it also protected them from harmful bacteria and parasites. So you might be wondering, why didn't other primates figure this out too? After all, they also gather wild plants and hunt for wild animals. Well, as it turns out, there may be something in our DNA that makes us predisposed to appreciate the flavor of cooked foods more than other primates. Researchers conducted a study in 2019 where they had monkeys choose between a piece of fruit that they could either smell but not see, or see but not smell. They found that monkeys preferred to pick the piece of fruit that they could see, meaning that sight plays a big role in how they determine whether or not something is food. Humans, on the other hand, relied much more heavily on their sense of smell when determining whether or not something was food. This suggests that humans may have evolved to rely more on their sense of smell to determine whether or not something is safe to eat. And it just so happens that cooked foods give off very distinct smells that signal to our brains that they are safe to consume. So our DNA may have actually pushed us to cook food and then to control fire in order to cook that food. And that brings me to another important point. Controlling fire didn't just change the way we eat, it changed what we eat. Our ancestors used fire to clear away underbrush, creating open grasslands that supported large herds of grazing animals. They also used fire to flush out animals from their hiding places, making them easier prey. And they used fire to smoke and preserve meats, allowing them to store and transport food more easily. Fire also allowed humans to cook a wider variety of foods than any other animal because we are the only ones who can create and maintain a fire. We also the only ones who have figured out ways to improve upon fire to create even more diverse and interesting flavors. Because of fire, we can sear meat at high temperatures to create a crust on the outside while keeping the inside rare. We can braise meats in their own juices along with vegetables and herbs, creating rich sauces with complex flavors. We can slow roast a pig for hours until it is melt in your mouth tender. We can deep fry chicken until the skin is crispy and juicy. We can bake bread until it is golden hued and fluffy inside. We can toss pizza dough in the air until it is light and airy. We can poach delicate fish until it is flaky and moist. We can steam vegetables until they are crisp yet tender. We can grill corn on the cob until it is sweet and smoky. We can broil salmon until it is perfectly pink and glazed. We can barbecue ribs until they are sticky and succulent. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. You can cook thousands of different dishes using an almost infinite number of techniques. That's what makes cooking so wonderful. Okay, enough love for cooking. Let's get back to the video. Before we had ovens and grills, we had fire. And the social aspects of this communal source of warmth were enormous. For our ancestors, the fire became the heart of community life. Everyone would gather around it to eat, drink, and tell stories. The fire became a central focus for socializing. It provided a place where people could come together and build relationships. The close proximity around the fire also made it easier for people to communicate and share information. This led to the development of language and other forms of communication, helping early humans cooperate and coordinate their activities. It also helped establish hierarchies within groups. People who controlled the fire had a certain amount of power and influence over others. And since men were typically the ones who hunted, they were usually the ones who had control over the fire. Many anthropologists believe that the social aspects of fire are partly responsible for the development of patriarchy in many human societies. Not only did fire allow our ancestors to better prepare and preserve food, but it also provided a way to dispose of waste safely. Animal carcasses, plant debris, and other waste products could be burned, reducing the risk of disease and attracting predators. This practice also helped keep the area around the fire free of pests and other animals. Around the fire, people were able to stay warm and comfortable, which made it easier to sleep and rest. This, in turn, improved overall health and well-being. Perhaps the most significant impact of fire on human evolution, however, was its effect on our brains. Regular exposure to cooked food may have fueled the growth of our brains and the development of our cognitive abilities. Cooking requires planning, problem-solving, and the use of tools. All of these activities stimulate brain development, and our brains grew rapidly in size from about 800 cubic centimeters in Homo habilis to about 1350 cubic centimeters in Homo sapiens. Of course, brain growth isn't directly tied to cooking, but it is hard to argue that cooking did and play at least some role in our becoming smarter. In conclusion, the discovery of fire was one of the most important events in human history. It's hard to overstate its importance. It helped our ancestors survive and thrive in a variety of environments. It made food more palatable and safer to eat, allowed them to hunt and gather more efficiently, and provided a way to dispose of waste safely. It also helped develop language and other forms of communication and may have played a role in the development of our brains and cognitive abilities. It laid the foundation for future culinary revolutions. Basically, it's no exaggeration to say that fire changed everything. Now, it's important to note that the discovery of fire was not a single event, but rather a gradual process that occurred over many years. Our ancestors likely learned to control fire by observing natural sources of ignition, such as lightning strikes or volcanic eruptions. They may have initially used fire for warmth and protection, but soon realized its potential for cooking food. The ability to cook food, in turn, led to a number of other benefits, including improved health, social bonding, and the development of new technologies. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content. And if you want to watch more of my videos, you can do so here. This is the host, and this has been Food Saga.